Today, we wish a happy birthday to Iron Maiden, April 14th, 1980. So 45 years since this came out. So, yes, just wanted to pay a little tribute to Iron Maiden. By the way, you can still get my Iron Maiden album by album book. And this is out shortly, the big Iron Maiden 666 page, Hallowed by Their Name, the unofficial Iron Maiden Bible. So those are available at martinpopoff.com. So we've got... Iron Maiden, April 14th, 1980. This is right in the thick of the new wave of British heavy metal. There's a lot of excitement around this band because of the Soundhouse tapes, them playing live here and there. The Metal for Mothers, they're on that as well. I remember getting my copy of this. It was an import copy that I got at Strawberry Jams. And I remember seeing that cover and thinking, wow, crazy heavy metal illustration, a little cartoony, a little weird. But yeah, we knew there was already excitement building around this band by, remotely by what we saw in Sounds magazine. I remember turning it over and seeing that crazy live shot with the more demonic looking early Eddie head with the smoke and everything. That looked like just a wild, crazy, evil live show that was going on there. But yeah, we've got Paul Di'Anno on here singing, the punky, growly, slightly conversational singer in the band. On guitars, we've got Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton. Clive Burr on really cool, exciting, visceral drumming on here. And of course, the great Steve Harris on bass and writing. And you've got the standard Steve Harris kind of bass tone on this album. You don't really get it on Killers, the first one with Martin Birch. It's a little warmer on that. But then it's kind of back, and then it's what we know and love, that articulation that you get from Steve. So I remember this album thinking, very, very creepy, a lot of personality. They complain, and some people complain about the Will Malone production on this, but I don't think it sounds particularly bad. It's maybe a little thin, but now, after remastering and hearing it on different things. And, I've always thought with productions like this, it's like, okay, it's not perfect because you do have to turn the bass up a little bit, but that's fine. Just turn the bass up a little bit, right? But other than that, I think this is a absolutely arch perfect new wave of British heavy metal type album at the darker end of things, right? How massive Iron Maiden became, it's hard to think of them as a dark new wave of British heavy metal band, but they kind of were, because there was much more commercially accessible stuff out there. You think of your Tigers of Pantings and whatnot, right? But yeah, this had dark themes throughout kind of thing. Prowler is that with that great wah-wah intro, and then we're into it. And, Steve Harris does not want to be called punky, but I mean, there's definitely a punky quality to this. I always call new wave of British heavy metal drunk priest. And I think Iron Maiden is your perfect drunk priest kind of band. Sanctuary, I'm looking at my CD here. Sanctuary was not on my original vinyl of this, right? The original UK vinyl did not include that song because it was on Metal for Mothers. And but I always liked it. I think it's a very again, punky, yobbish, beer drinking sort of song. It's got a little bit of a boogie feel to it, right? It's got a little bit of a 50s boogie kind of riff to the way that thing works. And that very frantic, trapsy Clive Burr kind of punky drumming on it, but it's got a lot of charm, a lot of personality. Remember Tomorrow, we think of as a ballad, but it's got the ascending regal heavy section, and then it speeds up. So we're getting that it comes from Beyond the Realms of Death, right? But we're getting that template of the pure heavy metal ballad, right? Rather, as opposed to a hair ballad. So this is a song that's kind of on its way to your Fade to Blacks and your Welcome Home Sanitarium idea. The idea of how do you build a thrash ballad? Same kind of thing, right? And we know Metallica just loved this album, of course, as well. Running Free, how I have quite a bit of disdain for Run to the Hills, but Running Free I've always liked. It is a little chunky and clunky and tribal, but I think it is a true anthem, and it turned out to be, an early days heavy metal anthem of the youth running free and going to the gigs and fighting with the punks and all that kind of stuff, right? Phantom of the Opera is an absolute classic where you do get a little bit of Steve's, Jethro Tull influence or love of prog, although he didn't want to actually do prog, which is kind of cool, right? He wanted to be a metal guy, but he had a love of prog, and he just said, "Oh, I'll bring prog into metal," kind of like what Rush did, right? But Rush brought prog and made progressive metal, and Iron Maiden, Steve Harris, took prog and made heavy metal, right? Pure heavy metal out of it. Transylvania, you get a really good quality instrumental. Strange World, you get a true ballad. And Charlotte the Harlot, I always thought was a good song in that sort of frantic sanctuary sort of feel. And again, this album just sounds so youthful and full of energy. And again, Steve doesn't want to be called a punk, but I mean, it's just got there's a little bit of that up-tempo punk vibe that goes on. And then Iron Maiden, again, anthemic the same way. It's the title track of the album, title track of the band, just like Black Sabbath, pretty much exactly 10 years earlier. Hard to believe it was only 10 years a span between these two albums, but Black Sabbath, they had a song like that. They put it the first song. Iron Maiden put it the last song, which is kind of cool as well. But it's got that same sort of anthemic quality, not of Black Sabbath. That song does not sound anthemic at all, but it has the same sort of anthemic quality of Sanctuary and Running Free, I think. So there you go. This is an absolute classic of an album from the early days. It's coming out within a week of British Steel, right? British Steel is also right around this time. Kind of interesting. And those two bands go on tour. And then I've always said, it's the birthday of Iron Maiden. I don't want to put it down, but I always say that I liked, for 1980, I liked the Angel Witch album better than this. But then, of course, Iron Maiden took off and Angel Witch sort of imploded. But yeah, great album. Happy birthday to the first Iron Maiden album, an absolute classic. Again, you can get these two books. This one, the pricing's not up as I'm doing this right now, but it will be soon. God's biggest book I ever did. But this is available right now. I'll sign them, send them out, markpopoff.com, all that stuff. We've got a Ko-Fi. We've got merch. You can join our Patreon situation, gets you onto the panels. We're going to be doing more of those Dark Horse panels things. And just let us know what you think of this little modest little birthday party for Iron Maiden. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Talk to you later.